Hi, welcome to Dusty Shelf Collectibles. Today, part 2 of the very special Hornet build. Yeah, hi, so hopefully you've caught part 1 to this special Hornet build. I'll just give a bit of a recap. So this Hornet, anybody who knows anything about Tamiya, you'll know what this is. So this was released in 2012. The design of it is by a guy called Jun Watanabe. His brand, Blockhead Motors, is like a marketing brand, but he's a very big RC fan. And he was asked by Tamiya to come up with a livery for the Hornet and release as a limited edition, which this is one of them. So this is actually my daughter's car. We bought it in 2012. She ran it at the local RC club. She crashed it, she enjoyed it, she loved it. That's what it's all about. Roll on 10 years, and these are properly collectible. They are, you know, when they come up in the box, mint, you're probably £700 plus, which is crazy for a Hornet. But anyway, despite offering her money to buy this from her, she doesn't want to sell it. So I want to build my own one, but I'm not going to spend 700 quid on a box one. So over the last 3 years, I've been collecting parts and trying to get together enough bits to build a replica. Obviously, it will never be the right thing because these are certificated. I'll never have the certificate. And the biggest part of it is you cannot buy these tyres. They just never come up for sale. They just never, ever come up for sale. So I've got a plan, and I'll show you in a minute what I've done, which is pretty good. Recently I've managed to acquire the last part, which was the chassis. I still am missing some bits, but things like the springs on the back, the white springs, I've painted mine. The bits that I was missing underneath here, I've painted mine. So we'll go to the bench. I'll talk you through what I've done, and I'll show you what I've done with the wheels. I'm kind of pleased with them. They look pretty good. I'll show you that in a minute. And then this video really is about putting the chassis together. So it'll be another one of those ones where, you know, skip through to the bits you want to see, and if you don't want to watch it and skip to the end and see what it looks like, feel free. Yeah, so this one, put the chassis together, then I'm going to do a further video, which will be the livery, and then the final video will be, I'm going to tear this car down and clean it all and put it back to mint, and then we'll compare the original against my lookalike and see how close I've got it. But anyway, let's go to the bench and let's build the chassis. Right, I'm going to start this video with talking about the tyres. So, as I said in the introduction, these tyres, they just do not come up for sale. They are, you know, the original kits came with the red tyres. They also came with a set of black tyres for running. These were never intended to run. Thankfully, these were, on this original Hornet, were very lightly run. But you can see with age, they've gone slightly off colour. So what do? How do I get a set of these tyres? Well, I tried many things, and finally, if I bring these in, this is what I've ended up with. So I've taken a normal set of rims from Hornet, and I've sprayed in these in a flat mat. I need to touch in the screw heads, as you can see, because they're black on the original. I do have the wheel nuts, and that's the rear tyre, and the front one is here. Now, I've left them in a gloss finish. You can put them in matte if you want, but I prefer the gloss. I think originally these probably had a glossy finish, and with age they've gone off, and I think they'll look better on the car in gloss. Now, how have I done this? Well, these are never going to be running tyres. They're purely show tyres, and I've tried various different paints and things, and finally settled on a couple of Tamiya paints. So this is an X17 and an X7, both acrylic. I essentially poured the pink into a pot and then kept adding the red until I got to as close a colour to this as I possibly can. When I put them side by side, I'm actually quite pleased with the finish. Now, the paint on here, I'm not going to do it because you can crack it. If you push it really hard, it will crack, but it will take a little bit of movement. It's quite happy with a little bit of movement. And I've put the rims in here. I painted the tyres, and then I've managed to, if anybody's fitted these before, you know how hard the tyres are to get on here. So I painted this, and then I've pushed the the rims in, and I've only had to touch in a couple of little cracks that I got on the side. So actually it's relatively hard wearing, and for a Hornet that I'm never going to run, I think the show tyres, show wheels, they look fantastic. As I say, the only thing I need to do now is just to touch in the head of those screws to make them look just like the original. Now I am going to follow the instruction on these, although I can build a Hornet with the eyes shut. Because I'm doing this for the camera, I'm going to build stage by stage, using the proper instructions. So these in themselves are quite collectible. But yeah, let's go through. So I will be pausing the video while I go and collect bits, because I've got them all around the workshop, all in different areas where they were drying and cleaning and all the other things. Now, I did mention on the previous builds that I've done how this side fits together. So each of these parts, if you go to the back of the book, it tells you where they are. You can find your screw bag. So if we're looking for a bearing, metal bearing here, BM1, it'll tell me it's in the bearing bag. Because I haven't got the whole kit laid out and it's from very stripped down, I'm not going to do that. But I will try and find the bits together and put each stage out before filming it. So I'm going to go and collate the bits for part one, and we'll be back in a moment. Okay, by the magic of camera, I've now got all the bits assembled. So all of these, I've had them through the bath. I've cleaned them all off. Although they do look a little bit grubby, they're all nice and clean. There's nothing on them. So I'm quite happy with it anyway. Let's slide that on there. Bearings. So we are assembling the smaller side of the gearbox. So I'm just going to push my bearings in there. Like so. On the outside. That goes in there like that. This, I've got the little shaft on there. That's going to drop in there like so. Before we push that home, we do this one. Bearing. One bearing here. Just bring that back in. So bearing on that side and the bearing on that side. Little shaft that goes in like so. That drops in there. This mounts inside the gearbox. Like that. That then pushes home. Feels nice and smooth. That's all good. I've lost my grease. I did have. Bearing on that side, bearing on that side. Perfect. That goes in there, that goes in there, that comes through there. So smooth. Assemble the planet gears. Drop the gearbox together. There's a little half shaft gone in there. That's it like that. Okay. And the screws. So say these screw heads I did paint black. I'm expecting to have to touch them in afterwards. Let's see how we go. Oh no, that's fine. And the little oiling plate. This one. That just goes on here. Right, I'm missing the motor for now, so I'll come back to that. I've actually got a special can to go in here, which is the one that originally came with the kit, so I'll wait for that to get delivered. Next are these two suspension components. So one goes on that side like so, and one on this side. Do these up. So the screws are, the heads of the screws are looking fine. I thought they'd the paint would chip a little bit, but certainly not causing any problems yet. As I say, leaving the motor out for now. So moving on to this section. Let me go and get the parts. Right, a little bit of searching some parts out there. So I wanted to check first of all, these washers on the original were in fact silver, which they are. So that's good. So I put the washer on there. And then these flange nuts, I didn't appear to have any, and they weren't any in the original kit because they actually come in one of the screw bags that I haven't replaced. Well, actually in the suspension bag. So luckily enough, I did have some in the spares box, which was good. So I'll just make sure I got this around the right way. That's correct. And put the nut on there. Put that on there. Flip. On the other side, slip it in. So. Washer. So that's right. Okay, onto these springs. Now, an important note, if you are building one of these, the original kit had the blanked end springs. So early Hornets didn't have the loop on the end. They just basically had a straight shaft. This has the loop. So the Watanabe kit does have the loop. Now there is an interim step with these. I don't ever do it. You need to when you take the assembly of these, it tells you to put a screw in to hold the spring. You don't necessarily need to do that. They are relatively easy to fit without. So basically you put the screw in to hold the spring out the way whilst you assemble it, and then once it's all assembled you take the screw out. I'm not going to bother putting the screw in. Okay, that goes around like that. And we'll go on to the next page. Okay, fitting the shaft onto the gearbox. So this shaft drops through like so, and then the gearbox just mounts in with these. So let's put these around the right way. That one goes on there. Just making sure that the spring is sitting below, like that. And the same on this side. And then these just slot into the chassis on the side. Oh, I made a mess of it already. Let's do it this way. All gone wrong. Maybe this is why you should screw the screws in to hold the springs out. This third attempt, it probably would have been quicker to put the screws in. Right, let's try one more time. Oh, that's frustrating. Let's see. Right, let's just get another screw on here. Hold that in. I'll just check those springs. Perfect. Okay, so bottom. Fit these side bars, so these just mount one at the front, and these are all with BB1s, so they're all the larger screws. Side. BB1. Okay, on to some of the rear shocks. Right, so just want to give a little tip. So this is the shocks that came off the Hornet. This is what I'd like them to look like. You can see the difference there. So mount the shocks very, very gently in your electric drill, like so. Just very gently. Don't over tighten the chuck because you will mark the metal. Little bit of auto sole onto a cloth, and then set it running. You need a few minutes of this. And then once it's gone to a really dark colour on the metal, find a clean part of the cloth. Close it off. There you go, like new. Right, my plan is for these for this car to stand, so I'm not actually filling these shocks with oil. I'm just going to go through the motions and assemble them, because it's going to be standing for a long time. I don't want the oil going off inside. So we drop that in there, we push the grommet in the top like so, put a spring in there like that. Oh, just going to put the spring in so I don't lose it. Then we screw the cap on. That's the first one done. Okay, put something in, put something in, put the cap on. Okay, and we'll go out the. So this goes on like so. I'll put that one on there. springs. These are my nice new white springs, all painted up nice and clean. Put that one on there, and then we're just going to wind on the boot, like so. That's the first one, and the second one. Perfect. Okay.
Now I know this is technically just a build of parts that I've collated, but there is a little bit of effort gone into this, in that, you know, all of the fixings, I've coloured them to try and match the original. I've tried to get the fixings the same as the original. Obviously you saw what I did earlier with the tyres. I don't think they're too bad at all. When you compare it to the original, they look pretty good. Okay, these are a little bit shiny, but to be fair, these were when they were new. You know, these are 10-year-old tyres now, so they are going off colour. I've got the springs looking good. It's as close as a replica as I can get. Things still to come. The original came with Japanese spec RS540. I did have one of these on order. It's got lost in the post, which is unfortunate. Thankfully the eBay seller was a very nice chap, refunded me, but it's you know, it's been on order for a long time now and it just didn't turn up, unfortunately. Underneath, obviously, as I say, I've got all the fixings are all in the right colours now on my replica. I've had to spray these parts, as you probably saw, the wishbones on the front here. I can't get hold of those at the moment. Maybe I'll get a set in the future, but for now they're sprayed. They are slightly the wrong colour, but they're close enough. The wheel nuts, I noticed I've got the right colour wheel nuts, but these are flanged. The originals weren't. Small price to pay, I suppose. But generally I'm over the moon with it. I've got to a point now where it's something that I've always wanted to do. I got enough bits that I could build it. Really pleased with it. Next step, obviously, the original. That's the original body on there. This one I haven't stripped down yet. I need to strip this one down, clean it all, put it back to mint, and then I need to get some decals on my replica. I'm probably going to put a new body on this, actually. This was one I did a while back, and there's a few paint bleeds and things on it, so I'll probably do a new body for this. If you want to see how to do a Hornet body, I've got a video already online, so I won't repeat that, where I did a sticker set for a replica Supreme Hornet. You can see that on there. It shows you how I go about cutting polycarbonate bodies. Yeah, fantastic. So I'm going to leave this video there. Thank you ever so much for watching. If you like this kind of thing, if you're into your RC stuff or general model making, have a look at my other videos. You know, I've got a few on there already about RC cars, and I've got quite a few to come, different builds that I want to do, and you know, cars that that've got some historical value. So yeah, have a look at those. There's other videos on diecast and other bits and pieces that may be of interest. If you like this kind of thing, then do please subscribe. And if you can like this video, really appreciate it, because it would help me out. I'm learning about YouTube and the algorithms, and yeah, likes are everything by all accounts to get your video to the top of the pile so it gets seen. So if you can do that, I'll be really grateful. If not to worry. I hope this has been of interest, and we'll leave this one there. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.